Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another episode. If you are new to my channel, my name is Stephanie. I am a life and relationship coach. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. Thank you for joining me for another show. So this week, I want to talk about how to deal with anger when we are going through a divorce, we're ending a relationship, or we're, in the process of going through a breakup. So this is really huge because anger is a part of the grieving process, but I want you to understand, number one, why we feel this anger, and how to move through it so we can begin really healing after the end of this relationship. So I'm sure we've all met those people who their anger turns to bitterness and then they stay stuck there for years and years, or perhaps maybe they don't turn bitter, but they just get very angry, feel defeated, they never get into a relationship again, or they just, that this relationship really hurt them and change them, not for the better. So we don't want any of that to happen. We want to experience these relationships and go through them in healthy ways and heal in a healthy way. So in this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that. So there are lots of reasons why we sometimes feel angry. We could be angry with ourselves for perhaps now seeing the red flags that we didn't see early on in the relationship, for overlooking a lot of abusive behavior and taking a lot of abusive behavior that we took throughout the course of that relationship. We could be really angry with the other person for giving us the abuse, for taking advantage of us, for manipulating us, whatever, and for not being able to be strong enough to even perhaps leave the relationship sooner than maybe what we have. We could be angry with the other person for how they left us and how they treated us at the end of that relationship, whether someone cheated on you or left you or had an affair. So there are lots of reasons why we feel this anger, and we can pinpoint them all day long. I feel angry because they did this, this, and that, and I'm angry with myself because I did this, this, and that. But really what anger is sadness, and the sadness is the disappointment of the expectation that you had on this person, on yourself, and on the way you thought this relationship was going to go. Where people really get stuck is when they get angry either too much with the other person, where they become bitter, and they don't take any responsibility for their own selves, or they are too angry at themselves for things that they did wrong in the relationship. So this is when you're angry with yourself because perhaps your partner left you, or lied or cheated, whatever it looks like. Maybe even if they didn't do any of those things, that they just wanted the relationship to end, you could have a bunch of stories that are under the umbrella of I'm not enough. So it could be, I nagged too much, I let myself go, I worried about the kids before my husband, I worked too much at my job, and I didn't put my wife as a priority. It could be a bunch of stuff under the I'm not enough umbrella, which is I didn't do enough. I could have controlled this from happening if I would have just done this differently. So when we start playing those stories, that's when we don't really ever move on and heal in a healthy way. Because what happens is you're focusing all of that energy that you have on really the sadness that you have, and putting it into anger towards yourself or towards the other person, rather than understanding why this relationship happened, why it's now ending, what are we learning from this experience that we had to go through, and allowing us to move through this in a healthy way. And the biggest thing is the self-talk. So what are the stories that you're telling yourself every single day? Are they the constant stories of, well, he's a jerk, he did this, he's the one to blame, he's the narcissist, he's the one that left me, or she's the one that just spent all my money and I worked so hard? And are we sitting in the victim mode, or are we telling ourselves the stories that we need to be telling us to get us through this situation? So yes, the story that what this person did was wrong is valid, right? We can honor those feelings, that I feel angry because they did this, or what they did was wrong. We can absolutely, we have to validate those feelings. But at a certain point, we also have to take responsibility for how we feel. So there's the difference, is making sure that we honor everything that we're feeling, that yes, I was the victim of emotional abuse, of narcissistic abuse, of physical abuse, or whatever, right? That my partner shouldn't have done this because this was unhealthy. This wasn't okay that they behaved in this way. But now that I validate that feeling, what do I do about it? Do I just keep living in that feeling and venting that feeling out? Because basically what ends up happening is you create a habit. So a habit is just you consistently doing something time and time again. It could be a physical thing or it could be a mental thing. So the thoughts that you think are going to create the habits. So if you want to move out of anger, you have to be able to acknowledge what you're feeling. Okay, I feel this way because, validate the feeling, but then you have to choose how you now want to feel. So, and this is not as hard as people make it out to be. What happens is that your ego gets in the way and it keeps you stuck from asking yourself, okay, I'm angry because this happened. I'm going to validate that, but now how do I want to feel? Do I want to stay in this victim mode or do I want to start moving forward? The minute you say, I don't want to stay in this victim mode, I want to move forward, your ego is going to tell you all these stories as to why the other person was to blame, why you actually were the one to blame, and you're going to keep reliving that habit of thinking those thoughts time and time again, and that's what keeps you stuck. So because we get so stuck in these thoughts and we stay on this hamster wheel and this bitterness, this anger, this sadness continues time and time again, and we never kind of stop for a second and say, okay, it's valid that I feel this way, but now I have to choose how I want to feel. Because if you're never choosing how you want to feel, then that means that you are allowing outside circumstances to control your emotional state. And that's really just not the case. No one is ever controlling how you feel no matter what they do to you. So if someone cuts you off on the highway, okay, you can react for a second and just say, oh my God, like, why did that person do that, and get angry. But then you have to recognize, okay, I'm angry right now and I'm choosing anger. And you have to then say, well, how do I want to feel? And what you do is you parent yourself by saying, okay, what that person did had nothing to do with me. And you start talking yourself through these situations. It allows you to take your power back and not give it to the guy that cut you off. And it's no different with everyone else in your life. So how do we get unstuck? So how we get unstuck really with anything that we're feeling, whether it's anger or sadness or bitterness, is number one, being able to recognize when that old habit, that old thought, that old tape keeps playing and playing and playing. And why is it still playing? That's the biggest thing. So when a tape continuously is playing itself, that means, and by tape I mean an old thought that's not serving you, like I don't want to feel this way anymore, I don't want to be angry, I don't want to be bitter, I don't want to feel this feeling. You have to be able to do the process of self-parenting. So you have to be able to stop yourself in the moment and say, okay, I'm going to validate what I feel, right? I'm going to honor what I feel, but then I'm going to choose a different tape to listen to, a different thought to listen to. And it's a matter of just, and this is reprogramming. And in the beginning, it's not going to be easy because you're not going to want to believe. Your mind isn't going to, or your ego isn't going to allow you to believe the thought that you're now replacing that old thought with, right? Which is, he's the one to blame, she's the one to blame, I'm the one to blame, and reliving all those stories. You're going to start giving yourself a new tape to play. And in the beginning, it's not going to be too convincing. But the more you do it, the more, I don't want to even say the more you believe it, because that new tape is the reality, is the truth. But you're just addicted to the old tape and you just want to resort back to that old way of thinking because your ego is telling you that that's the believable story, that that actually was the truth. And it's just your ego's way of keeping you stuck. That's really all it is. The second thing is, when you validate your feelings, that's so powerful and so huge. And I don't think a lot of people even realize just how important it is to validate everything that you're feeling. So when you're feeling that sadness, when you're feeling that anger, recognizing that it is sadness, that it is disappointment, and then looking into the sadness and disappointment versus the anger. So a lot of the times when I'm coaching anyone, or even if I'm talking to a friend, or even if I'm dealing with my own self, when I feel angry towards another person, I have to really dissect, where is that anger coming from? Why do I really feel so upset with this person? And when you get to the root of it, I'm sad, I'm disappointed by something. Maybe someone didn't show up for me the way I thought they would. Maybe someone let me down. It usually 99.9% of the time, I don't even know why I just don't even say 100, because I honestly think all anger is, the underlying feeling of all anger is sadness and disappointment. But when you face that, okay, it's not the anger that I'm feeling, it's the sadness, and learning how to deal with the sadness, that helps you to move on. That helps you to really heal. So I hope that this has helped you guys out there that are struggling with anger in any way, shape, or form, whether it has to do with ending a relationship, going through a divorce, or if it has to do with really any aspect in your life. This is really powerful stuff. And again, a lot of the things that we're angry about, someone leaving us and now our world being flipped upside down and things changing and you didn't want them to change, they're all valid reasons to feel angry, because no one likes change. No one likes to feel uncomfortable. No one wants to have to start over. This was the dream. This is what I thought was going to happen, and now it's not coming to fruition. That's valid, and we have to honor that, and we have to be able to be in that space and heal from that. But then we have to also move forward with life. And that's where I think a lot of people stay stuck, is they stay stuck in that victim mode of anger and bitterness and resentfulness because of the situation that they're put in. And by all means, when I tell you that some situations are terrible situations to be in, when you conceive a child and have children and now you're a single parent, that's a terrible place to be in. When you never thought you would have to split time with your children or share holidays or have to like divide up maybe, I don't know, retirement or money, or have to sell a house that you really loved. All of these things, they're not easy things to go through. Just an expectation that you thought this person was a good, healthy person, and it turns out they're actually a psychopath and they're not good for you, right? These are all really difficult things to go through in life sometimes, but it's how you handle the situation. Are you staying stuck in victim mode, or are you learning the process of healing and what that entails? And it's what I teach my clients every single day in my private coaching. So if you are interested in private coaching or online coaching, please click the link below. I'll link it in the caption to my website and my services. If you have liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I will see you next week.